Dear brothers and sisters, let us continue the book reading Voice Real written by Babuji Maharaj, chapter The Practical Pursuit. Realization is a practical pursuit for which direct perception through practical experience is essential. The rigid rules of life generally put forth as essentials for the pursuit are hardly practicable in the normal life of man. What the world needs today is an efficient method based on scientific lines and running in close collaboration with our normal living. Our great master, with due regard to all these difficulties and keeping in view our physical and mental disabilities and shorter span of life, has, by his kind grace, offered us this easiest way which ensures greatest success in the least possible time without unnecessary toil or exertion. Here, Babuji Maharaj is explaining us about the practical pursuit. Realization, that is, God realization, is a practical pursuit. That means one has to practice it and experience it within his own heart, for which direct perception through practical experience is essential. All these rigid rules of life, generally so-called gurus, has put forth as essentials for the pursuit, are hardly practicable in the normal life of man. So, usually people feel that it is a difficult task to realize God, and even it is not possible in this lifespan, and it needs so many births or rebirths. So what the world needs today is an efficient method based on scientific lines and running in close collaboration with our normal living, because ancient days the way of living was entirely different. And now in this modern world, the way of living is entirely different. So, the system to realize God, or the method prescribed by the capable master, should be in collaboration with our day-to-day living. And it should facilitate us to do our sadhana or practice in a systematic way, and it should be based on the scientific reasoning or scientific lines. For this, our great master Lalaji Maharaj, with due regard to all these difficulties and keeping in view our physical and mental disabilities and shorter span of life, has by his kind grace offered us this easiest way, which our master Babuji Maharaj named it as a Sahaj Marg system that ensures the greatest success in the least possible time without unnecessary toil or exertion. So this is the simplest means or method, and it is a natural path for God realization without much exertions. That means unnecessary rigid means and ways to realize God. Let us read further. Under Sahaj Marg, the master, by the application of his inner powers, awakens to action and accelerates the dormant force in the Abhyasi and diverts the flow of divine current towards his heart through the process of pranahuti. As a result, the Abhyasi begins to advance spiritually, experiencing more and more of bliss. The Abhyasi has only to prepare himself to receive it, or in other words, to make himself capable and deserving of it. In this way, all that which previously required ages of persistent labor and hardship can now be achieved very easily in a much shorter time with little labor. But it is all practical and cannot in any way be put in words. Only practical experience can reveal its merits. Here, Babuji Maharaj is explaining us about the system of Sahaj Marg. In our system of Sahaj Marg, master, the role of master is very, very important. And master will apply his inner power, that is yogic power, transmission, and awakens to action and accelerates the dormant forces in the Abhyasi, and he diverts the flow of divine current towards the Abhyasi's heart through the process of transmission or pranahuti. So, as a result of which, the Abhyasi begins to advance spiritually, experiencing more and more of bliss. I think almost all we Abhyasis have experienced this state of condition of bliss. As we proceed further and further, the state of bliss descends within us, and the Abhyasi has only to prepare himself to receive it, or in other words, to make himself capable and deserving of it. See, this is most important thing in our sadhana. We should prepare the ground to receive that divine grace which is bestowed by our master. So for that, what we have to do? The method or the system prescribed by Babuji Maharaj, it's already there. Process of cleaning. If we do cleaning regularly, the ground will be prepared within us. And if we start doing or practicing meditation regularly, we start receiving the grace because of the vacuumization. Inside, when we sit for meditation, the vacuum will be formed. And because of that vacuum, we will receive the grace from that ultimate source. So, and through the process of prayer, we beg for that highest state of condition. So, if we practice the remembrance of Master constantly, that is constant remembrance, always we will be attentive and alert to receive His grace. So, these are all the things what an Abhyasi should practice so as to make himself or herself deserving to receive that divine grace. Further, Babuji Maharaj is saying that once the Abhyasi makes himself deserving, to whatever extent the labor he has to put forth will be reduced. In this way, all that which previously required ages of persistent labor and hardship can now be achieved very easily in a much shorter time with little labor only. But it's all practical and cannot in any way be put in words. So one has to practice it and should practically experience it. Then only our practical experience can reveal its merits. So, dear brethren, let us practice it and experience it. Let us read further. A great wonder of the system is that a teacher trained in the system, though he may not himself be actually up to a certain stage, can yet make Abhyasis have a taste of that stage through transmission. The reason is that It is not really the teacher himself who is imparting anything to the Abhyasi through transmission, but the great master himself who does everything through the medium of the teacher's person. Thus, the personal limitation of a teacher do not have any effect upon the Abhyasi, and what he apparently seems to be transmitting comes direct from the unlimited. The teacher must, however, have his will sufficiently developed to affect the course of the flow towards the Abhyasi. Here, Babuji Maharaj is explaining us about the importance of master. Because greatest wonder of this system, the Sahaj Marg, is that a teacher trained in this system, that is the preceptor, though he may not himself be actually up to a certain stage, can yet make Abhyasis have a taste of that stage through transmission. Though the preceptor has not reached that highest state, but he can make the Abhyasis to feel that state of condition through transmission. How? How it is possible? This is mainly because of the reason that it is not really the teacher or the preceptor himself who is imparting the training to the Abhyasi through transmission, but it is the great master himself who does everything through the medium of the teacher's person. So, everything, whatever the transmission that an Abhyasi receives through the teacher or a preceptor is from that source, that is the great master. Thus, the personal limitations of a teacher or a preceptor do not have any effect upon the Abhyasis. And what he apparently seems to be transmitting comes direct from the unlimited source. So, dear brethren, usually during satsangs, people will look at the person who is going to transmit. Yes, so and so preceptor has given the sitting today. It was good. And so preceptor has given the sitting today. It's okay. Like that, the Abhyasis will decide about the sitting given by the preceptor. Now, each and every individual Abhyasi should note this point, that the transmission is directly transferred or flowing from that original source or that unlimited into the preceptor. So, preceptor is just a medium to transmit that godly power into the Abhyasi from that unlimited source. So, the teacher must, however, have his will sufficiently developed to affect the course of the flow towards the Abhyasi. If the preceptor is capable of allowing the course of the flow towards the Abhyasi, then the Abhyasi will directly get the transmission from that unlimited source. So, the preceptor should be sufficiently developed and his willpower should be so strong enough that it should divert the course of flow towards the Abhyasi. With this, dear brethren, let us conclude today's satsang and know more aspects in the forthcoming satsang. Till then, I take leave. Pranams. Namaste.